Hello and welcome back to the Obojima Podcast. My name is Jeremiah and I am joined with Adam. We are two of the writers for Obojima, and you're catching our weekly writers meeting where we sit down, talk D&D, and write a cool section of the world of Obojima. This week we're jumping into, I don't remember, monsters, I think.
It's cool. Whatever it was.
It was monsters.
Yeah, we'll
do monsters.
Talk about
There's
monsters.
another. Oh, I remember the other topic, but we'll do monsters. We've already said monsters 6 times. We're in it now.
It's like Beetlejuice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you don't know, and I think this will be the last time, at this point in time, people have been hearing this for like a month straight, but this will be the last time. I'm warning everyone. The content we're writing right now is not in the Obojima book. It instead is for the expanded universe and future books coming down the line. So we're writing this content live on the podcast, and you can utilize it and integrate it into your world early on, and hopefully you'll see some of the best stuff from here. Meet, that's not the right thing.
The
best stuff go into the next book. Make it into the next book. I don't know why I went meet it into the next book.
Go meet in the next book.
You'll meet in the next book, in the second, in the next life.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
in the spirit realm.
In the spirit realm. Adam and I are unhinged without Ari. But now we're on episode 4.
We're like a ship without a rudder.
Yeah. We're like a ship. We're like 2 ships with a chain attached to each other, and we're spinning in circles.
Yeah, in the whirlpool.
In the whirlpool.
As we go down without Ari to direct us out of there.
Moment of silence.
To be our grounded.
I know.
Yeah. 2 madmen. Running the fleet.
Running the fleet. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about monsters.
Yeah.
I don't have any monsters planned for this.
Well, there might be a list.
I feel like let's talk about monsters in a couple zones.
Okay.
So one of the things I've noticed as we created monsters for Obojima is a lot of them fit into kind of the more dangerous, scary side of Obojima, which is the eastern Blackwater wetlands, which are, monster filled, as you will.
Yeah.
But what I would love to do is maybe come up with some low level monsters for us to throw in the Gale Fields, for us to throw in the Gift of Shiratashi, maybe the Coastal Highlands. I don't think there's any monsters specific to the Coastal Highlands. But yeah, just coming up with some interesting concepts, some things that I think would be fun to play against in like a low level.
Yeah, what if there's like kind of like, I think of Coastal Highlands, like some kind of, like, I don't know, weird mountain goat kind of creature.
We were talking about earlier with the tall grass, something that like lingers in the grass of the Highlands or the Gale Fields, something that's like known to hide inside of it. So people are like always a little wary, like Pokemon.
Yeah.
What if we just put a Pokemon in there?
What about if there's things in the tall grass? What if it's like some kind of like a mimic, like it's or camouflage, and it's a tall blade of like looks like grass, but it's this long thin thing, and it can sneak around. I don't know exactly how that thing would attack you.
A little feathery tickle on the hip.
Yeah.
I don't hate like a little shrub creature or like a little grassy type creature. Another thing that I just realized is maybe like a potted plant monster or something like that.
Yeah.
That maybe these like seeds get put into plants. Like, birds will carry these seeds around, and eventually they make their way into potted plants. The potted plants like grow sentience and run around and do crazy stuff.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
But all the magic's in the pot. So it's like the moment the pot cracks and breaks, the plant like turns back into normal.
Well, that kind of gets to the in the Spine of Jumali, the clay. Like if there were pots that were made out of that clay, and people don't know it. Yeah,
so that's a location for not in Obojima, but in the next book. But it's the concept that that there is this great river, the Great River Mu, that also potentially, I mean, this is the writer's thing. If you're in the writer's meeting, if you're a player, you're getting spoiled. But the Great River Moo is potentially also the domain of an elder spirit.
Yeah.
And so the clay that it forms in the riverbanks is magical. Mm-hmm. And so it's been used to create urns and things like that. But maybe every once in a while, a pot made from this clay will grow, like will create sentience within the plant that grows inside of it. Yeah, I like that.
Spirit gets in there, or because the pots from that clay were spirit catchers. They would contain a spirit in there. What
if they love stealing?
I love it.
What if every once in a while, like just in like Yatamon or a random city, like a potted plant will grow legs and steal something and run away, and it just like wants to bury things inside of it. So it's like always like trying to like bury stuff inside the soil.
Yeah, it's like pat it down.
Yeah, like coins are spilling out.
And you look out of the corner of your eye and you're like, what? And it's just like, freezes.
Someone's like, get that pot. Yeah. And then someone else, it's an heirloom. Don't break it.
Lady gets a broom. She's like,
oh my gosh.
Get that thing.
I love that.
And like hops off the chain.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm already loving these creatures. Okay. That's really, really cool. What about, what are some other interesting stuff? We just created a village, on a couple podcast episodes ago that was like a village with the 3 giant fish stone statues that the village is built inside their mouth. We'll throw the artwork up. What's like a creature that could be local to that area, or maybe a creature that like comes from inside the stomach of those things?
Oh, whoa.
Ooh, that could be kind of fun.
I mean, it could be stuff that is swallowed a long time ago, and they're just like these. Maybe they're spirits.
No, I feel like I tend to lean towards nature because I feel like Obojima is a very naturalistic and like a life and homogeny between nature and environment.
It makes me think of like the dust bunnies. Like you sweep these things, or like dust collects, and if you don't sweep it, the dust will collect and actually create a monster or create a creature that if you're not careful. So it could be like this, another like kind of parable, like keep your house clean. Cause if you don't, not only will the dust collect, but also if it collects enough, cause Obojima is magical, these things can actually come to life.
Yeah.
And so you can actually have a legit dust bunny that kind of runs around and does stuff, but it's not a bunny. It could cause mayhem. I like these things causing mischief.
Yeah.
I like it if you don't take care of things get out of control, and it can, like gremlins.
Well, I feel like there's this level of spirit, these pest spirits, which are just they don't often they might not be consuming things, but they always want a little something. Yeah. And so they're like just annoying the hell out of
well, again, it's that old the theme of like give a little, take a little, right? Yeah. It's like whatever these are, people could either avoid them by like keeping your house clean or doing some other kind of ritual or thing, or it could be that they can be placated. So like if you leave out 3 marbles, these spirits will be appeased, or these creatures will be appeased, and they won't bother you.
Oh my gosh, this is a completely different thing, but like an NPC who's a trinket seller. Who's like, I've got all the trinkets to appease the spirits.
Oh, that's
and they like travel around, or like, oh, what do you need? A couple bottle caps. You want a marble? You need a toothpick?
Yeah.
Do you have your gloomberries? Do you have yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, you got a problem with these spirits?
That's cool. That's a really fun
got an
character.
Infestation of skitterbugs.
Maybe part of it's true, but maybe a little bit's also a little fish oil salesman.
Yeah.
I like that. That's fun. One of the, I think where I'm maybe taking this podcast episode is leaning into like, what are creatures that appear in cities? Like, Yatamon is full of people, but what are the animals? What are the beasts? What are the monsters? What are the spirits that appear in Yatamon?
Like, what's the Yatamon version of the pigeon?
Yeah.
Maybe, it's not just like this bird that flies around. I mean, there's got to be some kind of, like magical or quasi-magical thing creature flying.
I don't know. That's interesting. We have the Venus fly rat Maybe there's a bunch of Venus fly rats around. That's an ingredient. But no, I like, what are the critters that appear? I mean, we do just have regular birds. There's seagulls and crows and stuff like that. So they exist in the space.
But I guess, it's like, I guess if it's if it's a creature, it's not like a flying eyeball or something weird like that. It's probably more,
Ooh, maybe there's like a pest spirit that's like a little lightning spirit.
Ooh.
That crawls across, you see squirrels going across telephone wires. Maybe they can they live inside the telephone wires now.
Oh, that's cool.
Right? Like they're not, they like, you hear them running across the top.
That's neat.
You could, how like when you hear like oh man, we have a squirrel inside our wall or our attic, you can hear them running through the old cables inside old abandoned buildings.
Neat. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the lights like flicker on and off as they're running through.
TV comes on for a bit,
Whoa, that's really cool. Yeah. So what do we call these? Probably, I'm imagining something small and furry, like a lightning squirrel or something like. Oh man, we just made Pikachu. Damn. Dang.
Okay. Back to drawing board.
Yeah. No, but like
maybe it's a snake, maybe or like
a little snake, little lightning snake. Yeah. Yeah. I don't hate that.
Yeah.
There's also another. This was early on, one of the early creatures I made, called a Goro, or maybe it's just a Goro. I can't remember. It might be two.
There's Goro.
Might be two.
Yeah,
maybe double the Goro.
Yeah,
double the Goro, twice the fun.
Twice the Goro.
Twice the calories. Diet double Goro. That is, it was. This take on a spirit or a monster. I think it's leaning. It might even be a demon at this point.
Yeah.
Because this is before I really knew what spirits were. But I think it's leaning more into the demon category, where it sits in this giant sake cup, and just its hands kind of peer over the top, and it waddles itself and follows people that are leaving the bar drunk. And then it likes to it follows them, and then once they're alone, it takes them, and I don't know. It's a little more spooky, but maybe it I don't know. Maybe it kills them. That sounds a little scary. But hey, you know what? There's dangers in Obojima.
Yeah.
That's just the truth.
Or it just gives you a wicked headache the next day.
It gives you a wicked headache.
Maybe it steals a memory.
Well, I don't know what it wants. I just know that it likes to terrorize people, inebriated people. And I loved the concept of a giant sake cup waddling back and forth tick, 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 with just the hands of a giant creature sticking out. And then when you look inside of it, it's Mike Wazowski. And that's not even a joke. If you show the artwork, it's inadvertently Mike Wazowski. But a scary red one. But I still love the creature design. I think it's really interesting. And it's a demon that terrorizes a specific thing, a specific, I guess, characteristic or personality type or action. And so I wonder if there's are there demons? Because demons, are spirits that have gone through this kind of corruption and made a transformation. Spirits that go beyond mischief and go into nefarious, and then eventually vindictive and kind of evil almost, will transform into demons. And in major cities, especially Yatamon, the biggest city, you'd imagine that this might occur. And so maybe there's a specific demon type that appears in Yatamon, spirits that deal with a certain struggle that make the transformation. Maybe there's a jealousy. There's spirits that go through this transformation of jealousy, that when they transfer, or maybe regret, right? Spirits that move to the material plane and stay there long enough, kind of lose their ability to come back.
I wonder if there's something to do with a mirror. There is a creature that either lives in a mirror or is the mirror itself. Or that when you let's say it's has to do with vanity, or it has to do with something. If you stare too long, then this thing can appear, or it can appear behind you.
What if the creature is a mirror and it exists in a public location in Yatamon, or a place?
Oh wow!
And if someone comes and stares in it and, is too vain or commits some sort of bad act in front of it or something like that, it makes like a copy of them that's like a really twisted, evil version. Like, someone that's like, maybe it's a range of emotions. Maybe it's like you do something kind and joyous and like a copy of you is created, and now in the middle of Yatamon is a version of you that's like giving away all of your possessions because you're kind and generous, but it's the exaggerated version of that. And so it like takes this like very specific moment and exaggerates it. So it'd be kind of interesting to be like, hey, were you out on the side of the street offering your services for free? Or like, were you like, did you give away all your possessions? I heard that you were, or whatever it is. Or if you did the angry one, maybe you snapped at your friend in front of the mirror. And then there's like an angry version of you out in the middle of Yatamon, like picking fights and knocking things over and breaking pots and stealing.
Oh man. Yeah. It's causing all kinds of trouble for you when you like eventually show up.
Yeah.
It could be that, it could be something that maybe isn't even done in front of the mirror. It could be something of like, let's say, when you roll up your character, you create like your secret, like this is my character's secret, or this is my, something in my character background that has like, I did a thing that I regret doing. Yeah. And then when you look in the mirror, it activates that thing, whatever that is. And it could take the form of a, like you're saying, like this, like it's an actual duplicate of me that goes out and does all these things, whether they're, acts of kindness and joy, but that's exaggerated, or acts of like mayhem. Or it could be like it creates like a sort of like a creature version. Like if it's like if I have something in my background as a character that was I have an axe to grind. Like I've got a vendetta. Like I want to. Then it could be like this little beast with claws, and it goes and I don't know what it would do. It would be created, and maybe it works with you to meet out the vendetta, or it could work against you.
What if the illusion or the thing that it creates can interact with the world, but you can't interact with it? Whoa. And so you have to go smash the mirror to get rid of it. Oh. So it's like, where did we see that mirror in the city? It's like, I don't remember. Or it's like, oh, I do remember, but it's 3 miles from here. And this thing is like causing chaos.
That's neat. Like, okay, so there's this thing that's causing chaos. You don't know how to stop it. Yeah. Maybe even you encounter it and you try to kill it and you cannot be touched. And then you have to go ask a witch, and be like, what happened? Like, how do I stop this? And they're like, well, did you see your reflection in a gemstone? Yeah. And then it's like, you have to make your intelligence, memory, whatever check. And you're like, yeah, I remember it. And that was like when we first started out, like ages ago. And they're like, yeah, that gemstone was one of these things. Like the gemstone is actually a creature that's posing as a gemstone.
That's cool.
That's kind of weird.
That's a really interesting character.
There's something neat about that mechanic, or that kind of thing where it's a creature that poses something reflective. Yeah. When you look at it, something happens. Yeah. It takes a part of your memory, it takes a part of your soul, it takes a part of your being, and then it does something to it. Yeah. And then it creates some kind of problem in your world.
Maybe it takes like a memory from you that has a really, really potent, strong emotional thing, and the creature it creates is like an epitome of that memory. So it's like, I mean, I don't know, like stealing memories are crazy. Yeah. there's a whole like campaign built around that. Yeah. Like imagine there's a copy of you or something that's terrible that you have to go and defeat. And the moment you defeat it, you realize that like, your brother was the one who killed your mom or something like that. And you're like, whoa, that memory was stolen from me. And now I have that emotion back.
Oh, dude. That's crazy.
And now you're like, and you've been traveling with your brother or something like that. And you're like, is this true? What's going on? Like, I don't know. There's a lot there that's like really crazy.
There's that is like, exactly. A campaign can be just around that. However you get your memory back, it's like, it could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be whatever. I mean, you could work with your DM to like create that backstory, or the DM could just create it for you and be like, yeah, you didn't know this about your character.
Yeah.
And, depending on, I think, the DM could, because that could, change your character's moral compass.
Yeah.
You might have been like, yeah, you didn't know you were a bad guy.
That's pretty cool.
That's weird.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's neat.
There's something also kind of emotional and interesting about this is people might seek these creatures out to try to draw memories away.
Wow. Yeah, because they could take stuff.
They could take stuff.
Yeah. So it's kind of like this little memory beast.
that appears in reflection. What a crazy concept for a creature.
Yeah, because it you can learn things about your past that you didn't know.
Yeah.
You have to seek these things out to destroy them to stop some kind of mayhem from happening.
Yeah.
Or you can go to them to get rid of a memory. It would be interesting to come up with like a plot where you've actually got to get rid of a memory. Like if you need to forget something.
Yeah.
Because maybe something's after you and it wants or a secret that is too terrible and you've got to like somehow get it out of your mind.
This is such a good plot. Okay, there's the main villain of a campaign that everyone's trying to stop. That is the memory of one of the characters embodied, who's like this vindictive, like,
dude,
like,
that's good.
I mean, that is so cool.
That's amazing.
That's a campaign.
Yeah, that is a huge campaign.
Yeah.
And such a like boom moment when one of the characters realizes like, oh, that was my memory.
Yeah.
Like, and now it's become personified.
As this, dictator or something.
Yeah. Or, like
oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's like it could be like, an idle thought in sort of like in a heated moment, there's a thought like, shove that dude off a cliff, I'm so mad. And then, but that memory goes out, like this creature, this reflective thing sees it, catches that, and then that becomes an actual villain.
Okay. This is going to be people might not like this movie. I don't know. I'm absolutely in love with this movie. The Tron Legacy film. It's the sequel. It's, CGI. It was whatever at the time, but I absolutely love that film. And I absolutely love the villain in that film. And it feels like that film could be produced by this exact story plot. So the main character, Flynn, who's the inventor of this space or whatever, created it with his partner and Q and Tron, right? And Tron was like the hero and Q was like the creator. And eventually they kind of split off and Flynn goes off and becomes a hermit and Q takes over the world and stuff like that. And the plot ends with Flynn trying to escape and Q not wanting him to. And there's in this moment when they're trying to escape and Q like is sad and heartbroken and he's like, we were supposed to build this place together, like we had this vision of us together. And Flynn's like, no, like I don't share that vision anymore, like that's not my life anymore. And it's almost like that same plot could be like, you had this vision and you didn't want it anymore, something hurt you and you removed it, but that vision still has the same passion that you did. Like that, like we were going to take over this world and we were going to build a better place. And it's like, I don't want to build a better place. I want to rest. And it's like, but there's a part of you that this part of you is personified and wants to build a better place. And they do it by becoming a dictator.
Oh, that's cool.
I will build a better place because you're too weak to.
Yeah.
And it's these two characters that are like, one of them's an old man, the other one's a young version. It never ages. So it's like they look just like each other. It's but like, oof, good stuff, man. Yeah. This is such a cool creature.
Yeah, like it's really it's like a story creature. You know, like this really creature almost doesn't really have a stat block. I don't know. Like,
I mean, it has something.
It's got.
I mean, it probably has like 2 hit points.
Yeah,
it has 2 hit points, and it has this crazy powerful ability that could be taken care of in a session, or could be the entirety of a campaign.
Yeah, jeez.
So it probably doesn't move. It probably just sits there.
Yeah, it could be like a gemstone.
It could be like magic. Again, with Obojima just being this raw, potent magic, could just have sprung to life. Yeah. Like maybe these things just become into being due to like an overflow of magic in the area.
Yeah, if there's like this moment of, you know, heightened whatever, like heightened emotion or heightened energy, and then all of a sudden that thing just triggers something, and Obojima kind of fills in the blank however it wants to do it. And maybe there are these beings or these little creatures that are just waiting for those moments, and they kind of almost magnetize to it and then give it form, and then, you know, you got your campaign.
This is the coolest thing in the world.
It's now it's like figuring out how to write this thing.
Love this so much.
This is cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's the hardest part, is when this creature gets put in the stat block in the book. It's going to be like half a page. It's like, you know, we're not going to be able to. We can't give this detail. But like
the story part of it.
The story part of it is really for the DM to see the tool and utilize it in this way.
This is DM party monster.
Speaking of another monster, not to say I don't want to talk about this monster forever, but here's something that I think might be a monster. Is the Wandering Door a monster? So originally I thought the Wandering Door was just a thing. But maybe, but then I started thinking about the Rubble Golem, and the Rubble Golem is a destroyed building turned sentient creature.
Because it collapsed on somebody.
Yeah, somebody
died there.
And so with the Wandering Door, which is, you know, for anyone not understanding what the Wandering Door is, we talked about it, I think, in the Opal Falls podcast episode.
Yeah, it's like the little, you know, the young stewards go out and find this crazy door.
The concept is that there's this door with legs that is running around everywhere, and it's almost impossible to catch. It's so fast, so fast. But if you're able to walk through it, it'll take you to any other door on Obojima. Yeah. So it's like boop, instant teleportation, and the door's open for you. So it's like if you need to get to a place, this fabled Wandering Door could be the way to get there. You just have to be familiar with it, or at least that's a concept. To be honest, we haven't actually fleshed out how the mechanics work. That's just an idea, right? And so, I thought it was like a magic item or something like that like is sprinting throughout the Gale Fields at all times. Like you might see it, you might be like, well, there's the Wandering Door, and it like, runs past you. And I also imagined that it like, doesn't have a speed necessarily, that it's like, its ability, unless something changes, its ability is that no matter what, it's always 10 feet in front of you when you chase it. Like it just is it's always just impossible to catch unless you outsmart it in some capacity.
I mean, is it something you can actually kill?
I don't know.
Yeah, not that you would want to, but like...
I mean, we could just give it damage invulnerability or damage immunities to literally everything. Yeah. Like, I think that would make it a CR40. Like, it's the more powerful than a god
monster in D&D.
I think it can't die. I mean, we could give it 1 hit point and say no damage. You know, if it suffers damage at the beginning of its turn, it starts back with 1. Yeah, and it can't be undone without a wish spell or something. Which in Obojima we said doesn't exist, which means it's impossible to kill. But that being said, if it is a creature, which it totally can be, I think that potentially makes sense rather than like a magic item or, like, I don't know how else we'd be able to detail this unless it was a creature. I actually think we have some sketches of the Wandering Door that I can throw up.
That is so cool. Yeah. No, that's really neat.
Yeah. So,
love all of them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know what I imagined when I imagined the Wandering Door, but this is pretty fun.
Yeah.
And this feels like a Rebel Golem.
Yeah,
this feels like it was part of something bigger and then broke apart. And now it is fleeing.
Yeah.
You know what this actually feels like? If we were going to canonically put Howl's Moving Castle in here, this feels like the entrance of Howl's Moving Castle broke off and ran away to save itself.
Yeah. It's doing that. I mean, another thing it could be that it's looking for somebody who's got the key. Like, or it's either looking for somebody or it's looking for somebody who has the key, and the key could be anything.
Yeah.
And it could take you to any door on Obojima, but maybe these things lead you to some place that you need to go see,
What if the wizard that made this was scared, like someone was breaking in, someone was there to use the door, to abuse the door, which they initially built out with the intention of like making travel for everyone easy. Like this door would be available to all, but then it was utilized for evil or something like that. And so they locked it away, and they're like, I can't let this out. And people were breaking in to steal it. And so in desperation, they animated the door and just said flee.
Yeah.
And now the door is just running constantly. Yeah. It hasn't stopped.
It's totally scary.
It hasn't stopped running.
Run away. No,
wait, it's so much funnier if it makes noises.
Yeah. Don't come near me.
Don't stop. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
No, thank you.
That's hot.
Yeah. Again, I think this is another monster where it's a story.
Yeah.
Like each of those, each one of them could be an adventure. Like it's going to take you into somewhere. It's almost like the last car of the Spirit Train. Like it could lead anywhere.
Yeah.
And it could be super personal to the whole party or super personal to one of the characters. Like the DM could create any reason. Like this door was created and it's looking for you. It could also be that, like you said, like there was a wizard that their tower was being attacked, and they were like, if they get in the door, I'm done. Like they're gonna raid, so I'm just gonna have my door run away.
Yeah,
and then therefore magically the tower was they couldn't assail it. The only way to get in the tower is through the door, and so maybe this door's running. But there's also something that's bad that's trying to find the door.
Interesting.
And it could even come to you and just be like, like through like animation or through like sounds like, like it might not be able to speak, or it could speak. It could be like, you've got to save me from like something's coming for me. And then you're like, what? The
door understands and speaks every language.
It does. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then all of a sudden you hear this like,
excuse me, por favor.
Disculpe. Ayúdame. And then you hear the crashing through the trees, and there's this beast that's coming for you, and the door's like, gotta go. Adios.
Bye. Wait, is it canonically Spanish now?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, it's la puerta.
I love it. I really like that a lot. I think that's super cool. What's also really fun is now I want to build an adventure, or at least an NPC that's a howler. That's like their whole thing is they're the door hunter.
Oh.
And like they spend all their time chasing this door, and they're making contraptions and trying their best to stop the door, and it always fails.
That's like Wile E. Coyote. What if there is a door that's a dark door? Like it's like the skulls and like whatever.
Scary door.
The scary door.
So are there multiple doors, or are there just one?
I like multiple.
Okay.
I like that. Well, maybe there's always only just one in your Obojima game.
Yeah.
And then you get to pick what that is. And it could be that it leads to a thing.
Ooh, it's a scary door, yeah.
But what about a scary door? Like, what about a door that's like there to try to trick you into going through it? And if you do, then you're in this like dark dungeon and you're in like the wizard's, dark wizard's tower. But I don't know. And to me, it's not very Obojima, but.
Well, it could be. I mean, if it's a scary door, the other thing that could happen is maybe it's the entrance to this scary, terrible place that no one wants to go to. And the person that enchanted the door to flee was someone who's a hero, like a heroic character, who's like, I can't destroy this thing, so I'm going to animate it. And it's going to, because like maybe the door, maybe the properties that it can't die, those are all from the castle or something like that. Yeah. And so like I animated it, no one can catch it. And this will stop anyone from ever going into this place, and it stops that person from leaving. And like maybe this is like somewhere locked in the spirit realm.
Cool. And then, somewhere you get the quest that's like that person who's locked in that place had a ring that you've got to get.
Yeah. Because they want to marry you.
Well, yeah. Aww. Que conchimas. But yeah, like,
had a ring, you were saying, sorry.
Oh, yeah, but like, yeah, like, the idea that it's like there's this impossible problem.
Yeah.
There's a door you cannot catch, and yet you've got to get through it.
Yeah.
Because there's this thing you need. But also getting through that door leads to some place that's really kind of bad or like scary or spooky or,
Yeah.
Could be dangerous.
Could be bad.
Yeah.
No one has returned.
It also could feel like you trapped the door. It kind of feels like an Indiana Jones buildup, where it's like you trap the door and all the heroes go through and they get the ring and they come back out, and a bunch of howlers are there. They're like, we've been waiting for you, Dr. Jones.
the door hunters.
The door hunters, and they like capture you and they take the ring and they're like, now we'll use this door, however we want. Now that you've stopped it for us,
the ring is the controller of the door.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of interesting. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
Again, just like the last one, this door is going to have like a single page, so we can't describe all this. But there's a lot of flavor you could have with these. I think the point we really are making with this is there's so much you could do with monsters.
Like Obojima, like, traditional, oldie school D&D is, the monsters are bags of hit points that you smash for, experience points. And I think more and more as D&D evolves, it's like monsters are stories, and I think Obojima really, like, one of its superpowers is that it is role play heavy. Yeah. It's like super story world, and that monsters are things to be solved and understood, and that can lead to cool, interesting places, and like you can learn things about the world through interacting with them.
Yeah.
And you can just smack them, but if you want, that's the way you roll.
If you want, you can smack them.
Yeah, you can smack them. But generally, like these, I love this, the idea of like these story monsters are stories.
Yeah.
And, I remember, long ago, like, the creative group and D&D were talking about like, what if we made skeleton? Like, how can you make skeletons super interesting? And like, what if each of these skeletons had stories? Like there was just something in like the weapons they carried, or how they maybe one skeleton had even just giving it like a shield with some writing on it that told you something about like a history of this thing, like who this thing was when it was alive, or maybe it has a a riddle on it, or it's a key to something. Like just giving a simple monster a story to it is, it's just fuel for a further adventure. So like I dig this. I like and I love multiple doors. Like, yeah, we could have one door per, Obojima, but I think maybe this is a thing that there might be 2 or 3 doors, and
2 or 3 doors down.
Yeah.
The head shake from off in the distance. Yeah. No, not a fan.
the pun that delivers pain.
I'm sorry. The pun. That's, yeah.
The painful pun.
The painful pun. Well, no, hold on. There is one monster I want to talk about before we wrap it up, which we will very soon. But we have enough time that I think we can get one in. I want to talk about what are some interesting things at that fish. I feel like we went straight off the deep end and never came back.
Oh,
that fish village, right?
Yeah.
We had talked about like what is, I mentioned like, a creature that's been extinct or something that it swallowed makes sense. But what about, what is another thing in these fish villages, right? Again, go ahead and watch a couple episodes back to find out what the fish villages are all about. But, what can we put in there that makes them, that's something unique to this city?
Yeah. Maybe
it's like maybe there's creatures like bats that, cause it's the fish's mouth is open. So there's like a kind of this cave kind of deep in the back of its mouth and up by the upper teeth. So maybe there's like creatures that live up there that like drop things or steal things.
Yeah, it could be, I don't know, kind of, yeah.
Bats is not great.
Yeah.
What is, the other thing I like that we've been doing is like kind of doing a mixture of concepts, taking a mythological creature like a dragon and mixing it with a sheep type, like get yourself a sheep dragon. What's like a fun amalgamation of creatures that, pull an Avatar The Last Airbender here and mix two things.
Your Madrimoles.
Yeah. I think the creature designs that are really interesting are something that's just not like it's a cooler looking dog.
Yeah.
I
mean, there could be something like because these fish were petrified, maybe there's some kind of, I don't know, stone, like gargoyle. Maybe there's some kind of weird bat-like gargoyles, or
is there something in the water that likes to climb up the fish and attack people? Like, what if there's what if there's like a subsect of fish folk that live there that are like stone?
Oh,
they're like kind of like covered in stony scale.
Wow. I mean, there's a fish called a stonefish, and they're poisonous.
Yeah.
And they're just like, looking things. That would be cool.
That'd be cool. That
just
could be
like
fun.
In that particular lake.
Yeah.
And it's from the latent magic from long ago,
of the stone fruit.
So says, from the stone fruit, like that these fish folk have become petrified.
Yeah.
Or slightly petrified.
Yeah.
They're not quite solid stone, but they're
close.
They've got like stone skin.
That's fun.
Like you said, stone scales. Could be like the stone scale tribe.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like the stomach acid or something like that. Maybe there's like an acidic puddle type creature that lives in the bowels of this thing that like comes to life and like does something like burns at people or disintegrates things.
I mean, it could be like remember like yolk lolls? Those wax,
the waxy,
melted wax things.
They look like earwax.
It could be like something like that kind of a thing, but it's they're petrified acid.
Interesting. Petrified acid is a wild, like congealed acid almost.
A congealed acid. It's like it sort of would be like a gelatinous cube, but not the same consistency.
Yeah.
It's almost like I don't know what this thing would be like almost resinous in a way, but it could have like a liquid core.
Yeah.
Like if you hit it, it would just like, it'd be like the xenomorph from Alien, and like blood acid could come at you. And
that's cool.
Yeah, they're nasty.
I'm trying to think of, what other things would live in that water that might, jump up or be interesting in this space.
I mean, this, for all the, like these three fish cities and that live in these fish mouths, they're doing all right. I don't think it's like, and maybe not. Like we haven't written it yet, but it's like, are they in peril? Like, is this a really dangerous lake?
Right.
It's like full of like monsters and nastiness, but they've built these cities here because they're trying to. There's like real treasure to be had. So it's kind of like the Wild West. You know, there's gold in them, there are hills, but then there's danger because there's bandits and varmints around.
Well, with the bandits and varmints, and from some distant calls from Wilson.
Yes.
I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah.
Because some of our cameras are getting spicy.
They're like acid demons hitting them.
The old acid demons. Yep. All right. Thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. We had a great time, and I hope you did too. You can catch us on Spotify and Amazon Music and YouTube. You can catch us on Discord and Instagram and all these other fun places. And look out for other cool content that we'll be putting out soon. Thank you so much, and we will catch you next time.